Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 35 of Breaking Through, the Alina Obervian podcast. In this episode, I have Sona Movsesian. Many of you might know Sona as Conan O'Brien's longtime personal assistant. She has appeared in reoccurring comedic segments on The Tonight Show, and Conan, often portrayed as the delightfully chaotic and entertaining assistant. In 2018, she started co-hosting the hit podcast Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend. She is the author of 2 books, the first one, The World's Worst Assistant, which debuted as a New York Times bestseller, and her second book, The World's Worst Mom, which will be out next year, capturing the real-life struggle of being a mom to 2 twin boys. In this episode, we get to know Sona on a deeper level, how she got started in the entertainment industry, how she found identity working with such an iconic person, and the truly grounded life she lives now behind the scenes. Well, it's an adventure, girl.
It is.
Fellow boy mom.
I know.
Welcome to the show, Sona Movsesian.
Oh, it's so nice to be here. Do you remember when we first met on the Rose Parade float?
Yes, I was going to say 10 years ago exactly.
10 years? I tell the story all the time.
What's your version
of us
it?
On the Rose Parade float? So for me, because that was one of the biggest asks I had ever gotten. It was after the show where Conan and I went to Armenia.
Yes.
And you and I were on the American-Armenian Rose Parade float. And then
they paired us up.
They paired us up, so we were sitting next to each other. And you had told me, because it was KTLA, which is the affiliate you work for. And you had told me the cameras are going to be towards the left. So, you were like coaching me in a way, which I really appreciate. I remember this. As soon as we started moving, I forgot everything. But, and so I was just like waving at people.
Because there's a moment, and here's the thing, KTLA broadcasts the Rose Parade.
Yeah.
The Rose Parade.
Yeah.
So I kind of have that insider scoop. And then there's this corner, it's called TV Corner or something.
Yes.
That's when you have all of the cameras from all over the world. And so, it's that special wave.
It is, but you have to kind of know where it is. And people who, like you, who work on camera, know how to work it. Like, you know where to look.
Did we work it?
You worked it. I'll never forget, like a pro, you knew exactly what, and I'll never forget it because people send me this clip. You did a hair flip. Oh, that was such a pro move.
Sounds on brand.
And it was such a pro move. And I'm just next to you being like, hi, Happy New Year to random people, completely oblivious. And you had just told me what to do.
It's like this.
And I completely forgot. It was really, it was such the difference between someone who knows how to be on camera versus someone who was a lot more green, and it was just really fun. I mean, it was much longer. I don't know if you were like me. It was like a lot longer than you thought.
It felt like a lifetime. I think it was 3 hours, right?
It
was 3 hours.
I keep telling people it was 6.
We were freezing. Maybe it was 6 hours. I mean, this is 10 years ago. I was pregnant with Chris at the time.
Oh, you were? Oh, I didn't know that. Were you showing?
No, it was very little. I think I was only 4 months in.
Yeah, because
and plus we had jackets on, and but you're a little different, in the first trimester. And I remember the waves. My arm was going to fall off.
Yes.
At the end of 6 hours, we were freezing.
Yes.
And, in the beginning, it's exciting because it's all these people and the parade, and you just, you surrender to that moment. It's so iconic, right? We grew up watching the Rose Parade, and then towards the end, it just trickles. The crowd gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and you're like, finally, it's over. Because 6 hours is such a long time.
I know. It might have been 3. I have no idea. It just felt like an eternity. And what I didn't know is where we were sitting is only a few feet away from the spectators.
Right.
So sometimes if there was a stop for whatever reason, you would stop and just be staring at these people right in front of you.
Hi.
Hi. Yes, hello. Okay. Well, we're just going to sit here for a bit. It was such an experience. I mean, I loved it.
Yeah. And I remember what happened after that. Remember, they showed it on the Conan show, the coffee thing where he's like,
yes,
she thinks she's hot shit now because she's been on the Rose Parade float. And then you come on set, with the coffee.
Yeah, with these like Armenian flags hanging, and they rigged a whole kind of like fake float for me, and then people were pushing me on it, and I brought him his coffee with that. Yeah, it was so funny.
I mean, we're talking about 10 years ago.
I know.
And that was, as you said, right after the trip to Armenia.
Yeah.
I think that really compounded at the time, putting Armenia and Armenians on the map in such a big way. I don't think a lot of people were doing that at the time.
I mean, I hope so. We had gone shortly after the Kardashians went. And after we went, I think George Clooney also went.
It was around the time of the 100th anniversary of the genocide.
That's what it was.
And I remember it being a very special time to be an Armenian.
Yes.
Because there was a lot of attention. It was like this organic movement of people, wanting to put Armenia on the map and wanting to put our cause on the map. It was special.
It was really nice. I mean, it wasn't even, I tell people all the time, it wasn't even my idea to go to Armenia. But I think it was like inception, since I had been working for him. At that point, I'd been working for him for 6 years. So I started working for him in 2009. And we went in 2015. And I was like just constantly talking about being Armenian, being part of the community and whatever. And we had gone to Cuba, and he was thinking about what country he wanted to go to afterwards.
Post-Soviet.
Yeah, I don't know. It must have been, but he was just like, let's take Sona to Armenia. And it's really nerve-wracking because you know this, any sort of depiction of the country, we're very precious about it because it doesn't happen that often.
And you don't want the stereotype.
Yes, you don't want to be laughed at. You don't want to be the butt of a joke. You don't want someone to say anything kind of derogatory about your country or your people. And I was going with everybody was non-Armenian except me. So I shouldn't have been. I was so nervous about how it would turn out.
But rightfully so, because you're also in a context where it's about the comedy.
Yes.
And you're not going to go there with Conan and do a documentary piece on Armenia. You're going to find the humor.
Yes.
But how do you find the humor in a charming way as opposed to a derogatory way?
Exactly. And I think that's Conan's strength too. When he comes to him traveling, he makes himself the butt of the joke instead of where he is.
Right.
Which is huge. Because they've been to so many different countries, and it's really easy to be disrespectful. It's really easy to poke fun at something. It's really easy to say the wrong thing. So you have to go into it with a certain amount of research. And I think I had one note, which was after the editing, they said that my family came to Glendale and we went to Montebello. So I was like, look, I'm a Montebello Armenian. It's important. And that was the only edit I made. And everything else is exactly how these non-Armenians worked on it, which to me, when I think about that episode, that's what makes me the proudest, is that people cared so much about my culture that they put the effort into making something that people from my community could be proud of. And
we were proud of it.
It was
I remember
really
watching it.
special.
It was special. It captured the humor, this is something I can only say in Armenian, the ham and the hot.
Yeah.
It really captured the essence in such a cute way. And I think it made people curious.
I mean, I hope so.
Yeah.
I do. I like hearing positive feedback. I like hearing positive feedback too from non-Armenians who didn't know anything. Have you gone to Armenia? You're not from Armenia, are you?
I was born there.
You
I
were?
moved here when I was 1, and then I just went last month.
You did?
For the first time in like 20-something years.
Stop. Yeah. What was it like?
It was incredible. I fell in love.
It was. You can't remember it when you're 1. Yeah.
No, I mean, and I've been back as a teenager, and it was a different experience then and a different appreciation. But to be there now with my kids and to see them really embrace this country and in a way that I never got to because I didn't grow up there.
Yeah.
So to see them be kids in Armenia, I got to really live vicariously through them.
That's cool.
And I just paused and appreciated. And that's a really special thing we don't get to do, just pause and appreciate, because you can go to south of France, you can go to Italy, you can go to Africa, it doesn't matter, you can go anywhere in the world, right, and appreciate it. But when something is yours,
yes,
it's this unexplainable tug. So I can imagine you're there and you have this responsibility of putting this tiny little country, people who possibly have been misunderstood in the past, on, cable television, on a hit show. And that's a lot of responsibility.
And also just broaching the idea or the topic of the genocide. To use the word specifically genocide is such, that makes it controversial for reasons I don't understand right off the bat. It becomes something different when you're able to properly acknowledge the history of it without mincing words. And I don't know how I would have felt if they did mince words. I think it would have just, regardless of whatever the other, like, whatever 45 minutes of it was, if that part was them trying to be kind of trying to go around the topic of whatever historical facts there were there, I think that would have changed the whole episode for me. But they were respectful the whole way through. And I think that I want to take more credit for it, but I feel like I was more along for the ride and a reason why we went, but it was really all those guys. I mean, everybody who like worked on it. It really, and Conan. I mean, it's honestly, and it changed my life. The whole episode changed my life. It was really cool. I think that I stopped being somebody who was behind the scenes and kind of was featured on the show more. Also, my husband is from Armenia. He saw the episode, and then like that's kind of how we broke the ice when we first met each other, is we talked about that episode, and then I found out.
Did you feel pressure before that to feel or to be more Americanized as to just being Conan's Armenian assistant?
I think, I don't know how you are or how you grew up, but I grew up in a community that had no Armenians. I grew up in Hacienda Heights. So we were maybe one of 5 Armenian families. I just naturally, I think, got Americanized. And it took more of an effort for me to be more in tune with the community. I don't know how you are. Do you feel that way too?
I grew up in Glendale.
Yeah.
But I always feel as though I've had one foot in the door and one foot out.
Really?
Because my values are very centered in our culture and in our community and everything I learned. But my interests were always outside the community. Hence why I went into my profession. I always did things outside the community. I just had a bigger appetite for life. And I don't think you really get that when you stay in that bubble. And so it's always interesting for me how people are able to bridge that between what they're going to do. And I never thought being an Armenian would be my greatest meal ticket, because I got the job at KTLA because I'm Armenian.
I mean, it
to
makes
represent
sense.
The community, right?
It makes sense.
And then, that ended up serving as this amazing platform for me, which I'm sure you didn't think that would be the case when you started with Conan. When did you start? How old were you?
I was 27. It was 2009. I'm 42 now. Yeah, I'm going to be 43 this year. So I've been with him throughout my 30s and
majority of your adult life.
The majority of my adult life. And before that I was at NBC. So I've been in television. Oh my God, I started in 2006. So next year it's going to be 20 years in TV in some form. But also now I'm not technically in TV anymore.
Right.
We're like new media. It's so weird.
Right. So let's talk about the very beginning.
Okay.
Getting into this business. Is this something you always wanted to do? How did the job happen?
I can't think of anything I love more than television.
What sparked the interest as a kid?
Watching it. I think that's it. I think it's just, I got wrapped up in these stories. TV was always the way my family kind of bonded. We would watch TV together. Growing up in the Armenian community, it's not something you would think to do. You wouldn't think about getting into TV
because there's no clear path forward.
Exactly.
Our parents can't open those doors for us.
Right.
And I think we're taught from a young age that's not an industry that's for Armenians, because how do you get through the door? Maybe it's dirty, maybe it's dangerous, right? All the stigma that's attached to it. But I always wanted to work in TV too. I was fascinated by it.
Yeah.
Watching the news, acting, all of it. I just wanted to be on TV.
And it's not secure. That's another thing, is that you are going to have to struggle for a bit, and then eventually, hopefully something happens.
Right.
But I think that and this isn't just, I think, specific to Armenians. This is specific to a lot of immigrant communities where you come here and your parents want you to get into a field that is secure so you could kind of really plant your roots and start building something kind of substantial. And so it was a huge gamble for my parents. So I went to USC. I transferred there. So luckily we only had to pay for 2 years of tuition. but it was expensive. And then I graduated and I was like, I really want to get into the NBC page program. And I had been—
I did the CBS page program.
You did? Stop. Wait, did you do seating on like The Price is Right?
Yes,
and
I did.
You did?
Yes, I did. No
My
one
husband
knows
works
this,
on
guys.
The Price is Right now.
I wore that ridiculous suit,
yes,
the burgundy jacket with the tie, the ridiculous pants, the white shirt in 90 degrees.
Oh, girl.
I worked on The Price is Right. I worked on Bill Maher. I worked on Young and the Restless, everything at Television City at CBS. I was there for a year. And then I got a job working in marketing and I turned it down because—
Why?
I didn't want to be behind the scenes and I didn't want to work in sales and marketing. I really wanted to be doing what I set out to do, which is to be a broadcast journalist. So I said, okay, this was a great experience, but I need to focus and get started the right way.
Good for you. I mean, do you like— I don't know much about the news world, but I know being in a market as big as LA is what people strive to do.
Yeah, it's the big leagues.
It is. It's not, I mean, I don't want to knock on any small towns and stuff,
Well,
but
it's you have to go. It's almost like graduate school, right?
yeah. Did you have to go to smaller markets before you ended up in LA?
I did. I went to San Luis Obispo, Fresno, San Diego. I was gone for 5 years. So
but you were all in California.
Mm-hmm. I was conscious. I went to all the feeder markets.
But still, like most people don't have that, like, it's not that they don't have that option. It's that they don't hold out for what they're waiting for, which is really admirable that you did that. I think that's really cool that you were like, this is what I want to do. I'm not going to settle for what I don't want to do. This is where I'm
And it's
headed.
hard because that was a job that was paying at the time $48,000 a year. Full benefits, CBS, so you're in the door.
Yeah.
And I also worked at the mailroom. God, that was a lot. I've paid my dues, girl, big time. And I just said no, because if I go down that path, I'm never going to pursue what I'm really passionate about. So I need to make a decision now while I'm young and I can afford to.
Yes.
And I mean, I wasn't even that young. I was in my mid-20s, 25, around there. And then that's when I said, no, I'm going after news. And I've been in TV 16 years now.
That's so cool that you did that, though.
A long
I
time.
love that. I love hearing that people did. Like, I didn't have that same kind, because I didn't know what exactly I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. I knew I wanted to work in TV, but didn't know what. So I got into the page program and it was the same. For us, it was a blue polyester blazer, peacock tie, white button down. And they made it so that
peacock tie was torture.
It was awful. And then girls had to wear skirts with tights, but there was like some kind of, uproar recently. So we were able to wear pants if we wanted to, which was a big moment for us. But luckily I didn't do that for too long, because then I got on assignment. I worked in events, which is not something I ever thought I would get into. Mm-hmm. And then I worked in publicity for a while. So I was just, where's a job? I'll apply. I'll take it. I just want to see if I'll like it. I want to see if this is what I'm interested in. Mm-hmm. And there had been moments where, especially working in publicity, I was like, I don't like this. This is not something I enjoy. I worked there for 3 months.
You and I more or less got started around the same time, mm-hmm. and in a similar way, because working these jobs, being a page, working in the mailroom, interning, these are not jobs most people want to do.
No.
Nowadays, I don't know if we have that same culture of people who are so willing and ready to start at the very bottom. Because let's also point out, the page job paid $12 an hour.
You got 12?
Or maybe
I got
less.
9, and then we got to bump up to 10. I know, but I do think
it was nothing.
But yeah, it wasn't. It was nothing. I do a lot of informationals with a lot of younger people, like recent graduates or kids in college. Mm-hmm. Some of them are hungry. Some of them will do whatever is necessary. But there is a lot. I think you're right. There's a lot more impatience to get to the point where people want to get to.
So how did you end up on Conan's show?
So I worked at NBC for what? I got my internship I interned the entire time I was in college. So this internship at NBC led to the page program. The page program led to a job. The job led through to Conan, really. And so I applied to be a PA on the show. And then they essentially plucked my resume out because I think that I was overqualified to be a PA. And they needed him to have a new assistant. His assistant wasn't going to move out with him from New York to LA, like a lot of his staffers were.
Okay.
And she had a whole life. She was married. She had kids out there. So she was just going to stay in New York. She was a New Yorker, but she had been working for him for 11 years. So the job, he came out here and he wanted someone who was, I think, from LA. Mm-hmm. And so he but they couldn't post that he needed an assistant. I think they would have just been inundated with emails. So they plucked my resume out along with like, I think 10 other people. Mm-hmm. We went in, it was like a normal interview process. I interviewed with our line producer. Then she called me and said, I made it to the second round. And the second round of interviews was with Conan, our producer, and the line producer. So the three of them. And I went in there and I interviewed like you would a normal job. And I just got it. You know, I made a joke in the very beginning. The HR rep said that Conan liked my joke. And then that was it. And that it was just so unglamorous in a way, you know?
Corporate.
It was very corporate. It was like a normal job interview.
I think people don't realize that about entertainment jobs because they think it's all glamorous and it really is so corporate.
There's so many corporate elements to it, but there's also a lot of elements to it that are just absurd. Totally. I mean, I work in comedy and it's stupid.
What was your first impression of Conan?
I was a huge fan of his before I started working for him. So,
and this is when TV was in its heyday.
It was, yeah. And I think my brother and I would stay up and watch him often, or I would watch him the next day on Comedy Central. I mean, I was just a big comedy fan, and I don't know anybody who's bigger for comedy than he is for my generation. I'm not just saying that because I work for him and I'm going to ask for a raise soon, but
we want him to listen to this episode.
But I think that it's hard to think. So I didn't know what kind of person he would be. When I went into the room, he's very present. Like he really does look at you in the eyes. And this is for every single person I've seen him meet. He looks at you in the eyes, gives you a nice firm handshake. He's gigantic. He is very pale. And you know, much quieter than I thought at first. So I think that when I met him, he was just in the process of finishing his late night show, which he had hosted for 16 years. He and his whole family and his staff were all going to move out to LA. They were building this big studio for him on the Universal lot. He was taking over the reins for one of the most storied franchises in TV history. Mm-hmm. And so I think he had a lot on his mind. And now knowing him, I know what kind of like mode he was in, which was like focusing on like what's going on, and kind of, he probably wasn't fully present at my interview. I think a million things were probably running through his mind.
I don't think people realize sometimes that when you have a really big presence, you really do have to come back to yourself and just kind of marinate.
Yes.
To have that moment where you can shine again.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's hard. You're on camera. You know what this is. Like you can't have an off day.
No.
You and especially with your job, you have to bring a level of gravitas to it. You have to bring poise to it. And it's hard. It's a really hard thing to be on camera.
There are days you just wake up and you don't feel like it.
Yeah.
More often than not, you'd be surprised.
Right.
You know, you wake up and you're like, oh, I don't want to wear makeup today. I don't want to do my hair.
How do you turn it on?
I think because for me, it's always about the story. I make it about the story.
Yeah.
And because I can shift the focus from me to something else, I'm able to show up because I know there's a real reason why I'm here.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's not about me. It's about whatever I'm assigned to cover. And so that's how I really shift the focus and take it off of me. And then there are moments where it can be about you. So you try to capitalize on that. Well, I don't want to say capitalize, but you try to like really embrace that moment and write it. But yeah, it's consistency.
Yeah.
That's what really gets you through. Shine in the moments where you can shine. And, you know, there are days where you're going to kind of phone it in and you have to just survive through those days, you know, whether you're feeling physically sick or you have something personal going on at home. And that's happened.
Yeah.
A lot for me.
I was going to say, I mean, you know, I can't
been through
imagine
some big life stuff, you know, and I still had to show up every day and put on the face, you know, but you really just say, this is my job. This is the path I chose. So you got to put on your big girl pants and do it.
I'm in awe of, like, Conan will walk in sometimes and be sick, just have a cold.
Yeah.
But there's so many people who are depending on him. So 4:30 comes around and we're taping the show, he has to be on. And I don't know if I have that in me. I think I would just be like, ugh, I'm sick. There's a show today. Someone famous is on. We're going to interview him. And I don't know if I have that in me, but I'm not trained to have that in me. It's not something
it's a muscle. It's
skill
something
set.
I think it's a skill set you develop. And I think you just have to show a lot of respect for the bigger picture.
Yes.
I think that really is what it is for me. It's about the news that we're doing. You are, at the end of the day, giving people information that's vital.
Yeah.
And so there is a deep-rooted respect that people are counting on you.
Yeah.
And so you just show up and you get it done. And sometimes it just comes off better than you imagine. And sometimes it falls flat, but whatever it is, it's consistency. You have to show up every day.
Yeah, that's cool.
At what point did you kind of come out from behind, the camera and started to be part of the show and really, found identity in your role as an assistant?
The history of whatever happened to Conan is not, it's very well documented.
Mm-hmm.
The Tonight Show, which he came out here to host, didn't work out. He leaves. And then he goes on this national tour where we go to, I think, 32 cities. And during that time, his friend Rodman Flender was directing a documentary. Mm-hmm. And so there was a camera present the entire time. When we would be backstage getting ready, when he would do the show, there was always a camera just kind of documenting this moment in his life, the end of the Tonight Show, this tour and everything. And then I was just there because I had to be. And I just didn't assume I was going to be in the documentary as much as I was. But when the documentary came out, I was featured in it pretty heavily, a lot more than I ever thought. And I probably would have worn different clothes, done my makeup a little better. But it was just a very kind of raw glimpse into Conan's sort of life after the Tonight Show. And because I was a big part of that and big part of the tour, I was featured in it a lot more. So I was in that documentary. I want to say that documentary was kind of the first time people really got a glimpse into our dynamic, our rapport, who I am. And then after that, anytime a bit would come by organically, they would just shoot it. So I lost my mug and I wrote a very scathing email to everybody on staff. And an hour later, they show up with a camera crew at my desk and they're like, we're going to go find your mug. And then that became
a thing
that we did. Or, we did this integration with Auto Trader. And so they were like, well, Sona has a really shitty car and she doesn't take care of it. So let's make it seem like she's going to go car shopping. And I did actually need to go car shopping. So then that also became another remote. So once we started shooting things and once people were receiving them well, I mean, both those things have just millions of views on YouTube, which is mind-boggling to me. But him interacting with his staff and our dynamic, I think, was something that people really responded to. So they just started using me a lot more on the show. And then, of course, the Conan and Armenia special was a huge, huge moment. So it's not something I set out to do, but it's become this really fun byproduct of it.
And very organic.
And because it's not me, because I'm not at the forefront of it, there's not as much pressure for me. Mm-hmm. I can very just easily just be myself. And then if it doesn't work out, I just retreat back to behind the scenes and I'm fine there. So there's not much for me on the line. It's not, I work on Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend. His name is on the podcast. If people don't like what I'm contributing, I can just walk away from it.
So the way that you were perceived on the show is an assistant who's kind of checked out. She's lazy. Is that really the real Sona?
I think so. I also wrote a book called The World's Worst Assistant, which also doesn't help that persona. That doesn't help that at all. It doesn't. Am I as awful as I was? No, I think I would have been fired if that image of me was very true.
Right.
But did I?
Because I remember when the Rose Parade episode aired and he wanted coffee and now you're hot shit because you've been on a Rose Parade float. Your response was, get it yourself. P-U-S-S-Y.
That's right.
I'm like, did you just say that?
I did. And, he allows it. That's the thing, is he allows it. And one thing that's important to remember.
It's not offensive because it's so on brand with who he is.
Yes. And we have a very familial relationship now. Like he is like a brother to me at this point. So, and he has brothers. He has 3 brothers and he has 2 sisters. So he comes from a big family. I have an older brother. We rib each other.
You can take it.
I can take it. He can take it. We dish it out. That's just our dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for him, you see, like that Rose Parade float bit that we did on the show, it's content, it's comedy. I'm giving him this bit to play off of.
But I mean, something has to be said for the fact that did make you famous. We all knew who you were.
Yeah.
And you're not just on a tiny little thing. This is before social media. You're on TV, which is really hard to do, to get on TV and to be an Armenian and to show all that. It's like, that's fame on another level. And you were really one of the first people to do that. When all that is happening and it's fun, and then you go home, how did you process all that? Like, how did you sit with it at the end of the day? Like, is this really my life? Because it's really cool.
I want to ask you the same thing. When you go home, you're surrounded by people who treat you exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the thing that's so important, is to come back to an environment. My parents never treated me any differently. My brother never treated me any differently. My friends especially, maybe treated me worse. They humble you.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can't buy into the idea that you are hot shit because you're surrounded by the people you love the most, whose opinions matter the most, and they're not sucking up to you. They're treating you exactly the same.
At the end of the day, real jobs.
That's the thing.
It's on camera. It's on TV, so people see you and they recognize you when you go out.
Yeah.
But at the same time, my job is a job behind the scenes.
Yeah.
It's a lot of knocking on doors, interviewing, writing, being in the trenches, being in uncomfortable, dirty environments, all of that.
Yeah.
And you, at the end of the day, are still an assistant.
Yes.
You're still doing the minutia.
I am. I mean, I was a guest on his show when Kumail Nanjiani didn't show up. So they were like, let's just bring out Sona. So he interviewed me for the show. And then after it was done, I just went right back to my desk and worked on the following day, like all the little things I had to do. I had to do his expense report. I had to make sure his calendar was in order. I had to follow up on emails. I just went right back to my job.
Right.
And it is really easy to get caught up in how your image is changing, how other people perceive you. And it's easy to do that because if you go online, if you read comments, if you check on how many views all the clips that you're in get, you can get really easily caught up in that. Look, I just don't do that. I think that it's just better for my mental health if I just don't do that. It would drive me nuts, I think, to read comments. I used to, and the good ones are never good enough. The bad ones will sting. Right. For a long time. So I just stopped doing that to myself. Now I record the podcast. I'm in a room. There's no audience. I don't know how many people listen. I'll go outside. People will occasionally recognize me, but it's not like I'm getting mobbed. So I think that I have this really great level of fame in a way where it's people will look at me and they'll be like, I know her. How do I know her? Or, hey, you're Conan's assistant. I'm like, I am. I just kind of, I take it in stride, but I don't let it get to my head because I know it could all just go away. It could all just go away.
Absolutely. And
overnight.
If you don't have something that truly grounds you, that's when we hear the Hollywood horror stories.
Yeah.
But talking about the comedy, because we both know comedy is really hard to do.
Yeah.
It's no secret that it's the hardest form of drama.
It really is. It's so hard.
Here
it's
you are
form.
Going head to head with someone who's an icon in the comedy space.
Yeah.
He's Conan O'Brien.
Yeah.
And he respects you. He gives you that space to you're in his field.
Yeah.
How does that feel? And what do you think that says about you?
Well, so when we originally started doing the podcast, it was kind of intimidating, but I also was like, I'm in a room with someone I've worked with for years. I know Conan. I memorized his social security number. I know way too much about this person.
Yeah.
And he knows a lot about me, and he's been involved in my life. He visited my dad when my dad was in the hospital.
He's your friend.
He's my friend and he makes me feel safe. And that's the thing about Conan is that when you work with somebody who is funny on his level, it almost feels like you can say anything and he'll turn it into comedy for you. Yes. It's like if you're a mediocre dancer and you're paired up with Fred Astaire. You know what I mean? It's almost like he takes the lead. He shows you where to go. He's telling you what steps to take. Like he basically is coaching you and holding your hand throughout the whole thing. I don't think that I can do what I do without him. I really, and I'm scared to even try. So much of my identity in the public sphere is connected to him. So I don't know how people would perceive me if I broke away from that.
I don't think you give yourself enough credit. You are doing it because to be in this space too, to be an interviewer, you really are holding space for the person in front of you. You're almost anticipating what they might say and what you need to say to, I mean, it's such an art, right? I can almost tell when the person in front of me is thinking. I will stretch my question out because I know I need to give them 3 more seconds to think.
Oh, wow.
It's such a balance. And because I've been interviewing for a really long time, right?
Yeah.
In news, you know, you are holding space for the person that you're interviewing. You're giving them those little breadcrumbs to carry the conversation.
I think that my strength has always been, I love comedy. I love laughing and I love listening to people. And so when we're interviewing someone, especially a comedian, and you laugh at the things that they say because they're genuinely funny and you're having an actual reaction to it, they feed off of that. They love that. And I think when you're talking to someone, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've done other podcasts where it almost seems like they're not actually listening to me. Like I can tell you're listening to the things that I'm saying. So having someone who's paying attention and who cares about the things that you're saying and is feeding off of that, my strength is to kind of be like the audience in the room. I'm giving these people, in a way, what they're looking for and what they need. And so it helps the interview, I think, go along. And I've noticed that they look at me a lot more when they answer questions that Conan gives them and stuff. So I think that's like my whole purpose on the podcast is to just kind of, it's like if you plucked somebody out of anywhere and you put them in that chair, how they would react listening to Harrison Ford speak, how they would, react listening to Goldie Hawn speak or Carol Burnett. I mean, I'm like the everyman, and because I'm not trained or seasoned in that way.
That's really special too, because again, it's being someone who can kind of blend, but also represent what the audience is thinking, and that in itself is an art. So I don't think you give yourself enough credit. Did you ever feel being Conan's assistant was limiting, or you're always going to be in a shadow? Did a different part of you seek to emerge at any point?
Such a good question, because I am so Conan's assistant. And I feel like even though I don't currently assist him day-to-day wise, and I barely assist him in any other way, I think that there's still this perception that I'm his assistant. And I might have that perception forever. That might be who I always am.
Do you have a problem with that?
I don't have a problem with that. And here's the thing. So
I want to know why.
Years ago, because assistants usually are looked at as a stepping stone into something bigger. People don't normally become an assistant and stay an assistant forever.
Right. It's
just not something you normally do. When I was assisting Conan and I was in the day-to-day grind and we were doing a TV show every day, I loved it. I just loved my job. I loved that I was part of this show that I was proud of being a part of. I loved that I was working for someone who was very well respected. I loved the people that I worked with. And I kind of loved the residual power I got being so close to Conan, is that we were, like him and Jeff, the EP, and Conan and me and Jeff's assistant, we were kind of in this like bubble almost, where we didn't have to deal with so many other like smaller details, especially working for Conan. You just got to enjoy the fun parts of it almost. And it's that kind of access to that level of power is really fun. And I'm not going to be Conan. I know I'm not going to be Conan. But having access to what Conan is and what he established and sort of that power that comes with it, it can be really fun. It's a really fun thing to tap into. And so I enjoyed it. I loved kind of having a view from the top for a really long time.
I mean, he's someone who's magic in a bottle. And that's a very, magnetic energy to be around.
Yeah.
What would you say was the biggest takeaway from working so close to someone for so many years?
I think that what was the most inspiring about Conan is you can achieve so much and still be a decent person. So when I hear about people who've been in entertainment who mistreat their staff or are shitty to people or are rude and don't have any like positive interactions, or there's all these stories that come out where they've been rude to people, I look at Conan and I realize you can achieve a lot and still just be a good human being. And that's, I think, my favorite thing about him is there's something about being able to still reserve your humanity. Because, it's very easy to get lost. I mean, I'm talking about the residual power I got from working so closely with him, but I didn't have that power. He does. He has that respect. He has that adoration. He has that 30 plus years of comedy work under his belt. That's all very respected. And he's still a decent person. So I think that's what I took away from it a lot is I can do things and still treat people nicely. And so that to me, I think is the best lesson from him. So
I saw him once having breakfast in Montecito. This tiny little cafe. He was by himself. And I just probably spent like 10 minutes observing him. I didn't go up to him. I wanted to give him his moment because, he wants his privacy.
Yeah.
And I just had this like feeling like, oh, he's just a regular guy.
He's just chilling.
Yeah, he's chilling.
Well, okay, so going back to the assistant question, because I think I didn't get to it in a round. I was like rambling on. What I got, the thing that I got to at a certain point was that I loved going to work. So I wasn't like a lot of people where on Sunday you're dreading Monday. I was looking forward to Monday. I was excited to go to work. And my thing has always been to work in a place where I feel like I'm valued, but also someplace where I love just going to work. It doesn't feel like I'm working for my paycheck. It feels like I'm going to daycare for adults and then I happen to get paid for it. So once I got to that point in my job working for Conan as his assistant, I got to a point where I was like, why am I looking ahead? Why don't I just enjoy this and enjoy this moment and enjoy what I've got? And so that's what I started doing. And now, I mean, do I want to come out of his shadows? Not really. I love working for him. I love what I do. But more importantly, I don't have the pressure. I go in, I do my job and I leave and I don't take my work with me. And I'm able to go home and spend time with my kids, pick them up from school, hang out with them afterwards and not be stressed or worried about my job, which is it's such a massive, massive thing for me. So I don't need to become like a CEO. I don't need to become like a figure. I'm okay with this. And I'm fine just cruising for as long as I can like this.
I think that's a beautiful thing. And I think you're very lucky.
Yes.
Because, aside from the big job and the exposure to something so huge and iconic, I think it's a really powerful thing to find that inner peace because it's not about the ego. It's not about how can I figure out how to shine more? Rather saying, I respect what I'm a part of.
Yeah.
And I really can just take what I take and I can go home and be grounded in my life and just appreciate that this is my life.
Yes.
That's such a great place to be in.
It is.
Because I find a lot of people are searching and searching and searching and it's never good enough.
That's the problem. It's never good enough. And I think that you just really have to ask yourself what you're looking for. What is it that you're working for? Are you working for money? Are you working for fame? Are you working for prestige? Are you working for do you want as much responsibility as possible? What are you working for? And if you achieve that, are you going to be satisfied?
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a lot of people who still wouldn't be satisfied even if they got what they were looking for.
Right.
It might be a personality trait. I don't know. I mean,
I have a lot of younger people asking me how to get into the news business because they want to work in television. And the biggest thing I say to them is it's not about the job title. Make sure you like the day-to-day.
yes.
Because that's really, the days make up the weeks make up the months and the years, and then that just becomes your life. Please make sure you like the day-to-day.
Yeah.
Regardless of the job. If it's a lawyer, if it's being an accountant, I don't know. Make sure that job aligns with the energy you want to be in. Do you like fast paced? Do you like to be in a cubicle? And all of those decisions are valid, but make sure it aligns with the way you want to live your life.
Yes. Do you still love your job?
To be honest, I do.
Okay.
I do.
I thought you were going to say, to be honest, no.
I just hate it. No, I do really love it because it allows me to do what I always set out to do. I've always been a performer.
Yeah.
And so I am able to perform in that space, but I'm able to go a level deeper and get to know people. And it gave me the tools to do this now. So I think it's allowed me to grow as a person and to transition.
Yeah.
Do you feel you've been able to do that with a podcast?
Oh, definitely.
With a book?
Yes. I mean, the book especially, because the book is something I never thought I would ever do. I never thought I would write a book.
Mm-hmm.
And now I just finished my second one. So I think that's the thing, is doing things that surprise you, that you realize you're capable of. Like, I'm sure launching this podcast, you thought, I have this idea. How am I going to do it? And then you did it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's huge. I mean, it's pretty amazing that you set out to do something and then you do it. I think that's incredible.
The hardest part is the first step.
Yes.
And then things just slowly fall into place and align. I think,
Yeah.
Your effort, what you get is what you put out. If you put out the right effort, it will become matched. I don't think that anything really falls off unless it's not authentic to you. If you're doing something out of force or because you think you need to be doing it, do it if it's really coming from a place where it's natural.
Yeah.
Because then you're in your element. When I'm here, I love being here. I love interviewing. I love meeting people. I love talking about certain things and really getting interested. So again, it goes back to the day-to-day. It's not about having a podcast. It's about being in a space where I can be genuinely curious.
Yeah.
So it's the root of it, right?
Because you're a curious person.
Very.
So you're tapping into a personality trait you have, which I think is very cool. Like I know I work on a podcast, but I don't think I could run an interview. I don't have that skill set.
You can. I think you just have to be curious, and you have to accept the fact that if you're not going to fail, you're not going to succeed. And so when I started this, I had no blueprint, at least not for myself. It was just like starting, and I did it with a lot of honesty and integrity, and just I showed up in that way and I let it land.
Right.
And thankfully it did. And now it's like, okay, continuing to grow and editing as you go. I'm always watching how an episode turned out and what did I like about it, what I didn't like about it. And that's growth.
Yeah. That's cool. It's
what
so
is your
much
next
work.
book about?
My first book was called The World's Worst Assistant, and this one's called The World's Worst Mom.
Stop. You can, oh my, okay, what is that about? Well, clearly you lost your child.
And so I know, clearly I have room for improvement.
It's okay. I let my kids watch iPad before bed.
See, I
need 15 minutes to do my skincare. So I will let them have iPad time.
We have, and I think this is very exclusive almost to women. Mm-hmm. We have all this pressure of seeming like everything is together. I thought I was going to be that mom who was in shape, who had everything together, had a pristine house, had kids, knew exactly what to say to them, knew exactly, how to help them and calm them down and raise them. And none of that is true. And I think instead of presenting this persona where I have everything together, I'm just embracing that nothing that I thought about motherhood is how my life is working out. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I even go back to my husband and I had to go through IVF to have our kids, and so I talk about that. And, it's very tongue in cheek. It's like, I'm so bad at being a mom. I couldn't even conceive properly, God, and so it's a
you got it wrong from the very beginning.
Yeah. And I had a C-section. I thought I was going to have a natural birth. I had, when it came to breastfeeding, I had twins. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to do it.
Either of my kids.
Yeah. So
And they never get sick.
And
Newsflash.
Well, that's what I say. I'm like, if you're in a room with like 100 people, can you identify who was breastfed and who was formula fed? You can't. That's the whole thing, is that we put so much pressure on ourselves. So I just finished this book. Alina, I just finished this book like 3 days ago. And I put my kids in camp through today so that, because my deadline was today. And I finished 3 days early. And I was like, what am I going to do with these days that I have free now? You know, I'm not working. I was planning on writing. And so yesterday I went and I saw Superman. Like just by myself, went to the movies.
I love going to the movies alone.
I love it.
Right? Because you can watch when no one else wants to watch.
Yes.
I used to ditch high school and go to the movies.
You did?
That's why I didn't graduate on stage senior year because I had too many truancies. And my parents are yelling at me, what are you doing? Are you doing drugs? I'm like, no, I'm just going to the movies alone. That's it. I was the biggest weirdo loner.
No.
Still am, but we take it. What kind of a mom are you when you say, what is the world's world's worst mom?
Well, it's like being the world's worst assistant. I'm not the world's worst assistant. I'm not the world's worst mom. But I think if you have this image that you created in your head of the kind of mom you want to be, that to you is the ideal. It's so the perfect kind of mom.
To not meet that standard,
and it's everything that I've done to not meet my own standards of what kind of mom I thought I would be.
I mean, I think we're all always torturing ourselves every day about things that fall through the cracks, and it's the most impossible job because you're never going to be perfect at it.
No, you're never going to meet your standards.
A working mom.
Yes. Yeah.
Sorry, it's like.
And if you're not working, you're almost guilty about not working.
You can't win. And I'm so glad that you're doing this because you're bringing levity to a job that is sometimes something we take it so seriously, right? Being the perfect mom. And I find the best moments where we really connect with our kids and make a difference and an impact in their lives is when we can just surrender and get on their level.
Yeah, be genuine.
Be genuine. Get on the level of your 4-year-olds and you'll see that they'll have the best time with you.
Yeah, that's true.
And you won't have to worry about what you're doing right or wrong. It's just enjoy.
Yeah. And I'm learning as I go along. It's a lot, I mean, I became a mom at 38. So it was a little later for me. So I had established, I also met Tak later. I met him when I was 33. And so I was single for most of my 20s and my early 30s. And I had this bachelorette lifestyle. And I thought that's just what my life was going to be forever. And then he came along, fell in love, we got married, and then we had kids. And so I am very aware of how much my life has changed from before I met him and after I met him. Like there's this very significant difference that happened in my life. And so I'm making it up. I have no idea what I'm doing.
We're all making it up as we go. Trust me.
No idea what I'm doing.
That's great.
Yeah.
Because
and I think
life is improv.
Yes. And you know what I've noticed is everybody wants to present this persona that they do have it together. But when you talk to another mom and they're like, how are you doing? And I'm like, honestly, I'm having a tough time with my boys. Yesterday there was a big tantrum. I didn't know how to handle it. Then it gives them sort of permission to open up to you about how difficult it is for them too sometimes. And those are my favorite moments. That's when I bond with like other moms at school or other moms at the park about how tough it can be. I love it. You let your guard down and you're just like, yeah, this is tough. And everybody feels better because you feel like you're not alone. No. And so it really makes a huge difference. So I was just like, this book is more therapy for me. It's more me being vulnerable and being like, hey, is there anybody else out there?
It's going to be therapy for other people. Are you kidding? We're all in the same boat. Sona.
Yeah.
You and I, we both worked in TV. Well, I still work in TV. Now we're both in the podcasting space, but our lives have been almost the opposite.
Right.
Because I was already done having kids by the time I was 33.
Yeah.
And so I lived my life in reverse and now it's like bachelorettehood
all
over again.
But it's
I'm
fun.
I'm learning to date at 39 years old. So you can write a book on my life.
Is it fun? Do you approach it as this is fun or do you approach it as this is work?
It's not work because I'm really selective.
Oh,
and
good.
I don't have that much time to date. So if I'm going out with you, it's like, I really thought about that.
Good.
I'm not going out just for meeting people. I don't want to meet people. I don't even like that many people.
You value yourself. You know your value. I mean,
I have my standards.
Yeah. Well, like 26-year-old Sona is very different from 42-year-old Sona. It's like, if I dated now, like my husband and I say that to each other all the time. If we dated each other in our 20s, I don't know how long we would have lasted. You know, we had to work out these kinks. But when you're older, you're so much more confident with yourself. You understand your self-worth, you know your value. And so you respond to people who see that in you. And I think it definitely it's better to date, you know, almost when you go through that.
So you have 2 boys. Your third book is probably going to be...
Oh, my third.
The third one is going to be titled World's Worst Mother-in-Law. And I'll be in it with you because I've always said I'm wearing white to my son. Sorry, I'm wearing a red dress to my son's wedding.
I'm going to wear black.
I'm crawling into bed with them. Just kidding. I'm very like, they're my boys.
Are they mama's boys too?
God, they still sleep with me.
Oh, honey. I know. I like it when they, like in the middle of the night when they come to my bed. I'm like, come on.
I'm not giving you away to anyone.
Oh.
Don't go.
I know. It's hard. It's hard to think about it. I think about it from how was I? And I am really trying to remind myself that I just at some point will have to let them go.
Yeah.
So, you know, when I was in college, my parents were very against me moving away and living at college. And I had to fight for that. And so for my boys, I just want to be like, go to college, go someplace, like live a little. It's hard, but call me every day. Because I don't know, there's such a big part of my identity now, which is so bizarre because they didn't exist 4 years ago. So I don't know.
What was life before them?
I don't know what it's going to be like when they move out. I have no idea what kind of person I'm going to be. What am I going to do?
Well, just wait. You've got years ahead.
I know.
Of you.
I don't know why I'm thinking about this now. Isn't it awful when you get ahead of yourself? I don't want to do that. I hate that.
What's next for Sona? And how do you foresee yourself sort of transitioning into the next thing? I
think now it's continuing to do the podcast with Conan, which I hope to do for a long time. Writing this, finishing up this book, editing it, releasing it, hopefully next year. I think it's going to come out in 2026. Promoting that, talking about that, you know, and just spending as much time with my kids as I can. Yeah. You know, I do want to. They get disappointed when I don't pick them up from school, because I do pick them up from school most of the time. So I want to keep trying to do that. But of course, you know, life gets in the way sometimes, but just spending as much time with them as possible, seeing how they grow up.
Yeah, life is in session. And if I could give you any advice, it's really just to be so present. That's the only way to slow down time.
Yeah.
Be so present. Don't worry about what you're doing right or wrong as the world's worst mom, because you're not, I promise you. We are all the world's worst mom, depending on the time of the day.
Yes.
There's moments where I'm like, got this. And then there are other moments, it's like, they trusted me with children?
Yes.
What are they thinking?
Yes. It's funny you said that, because I texted one of my best friends, Christina, and I was like, I'm telling you, there are days where I feel sad for these boys that I'm their mom. And then there's other days where I'm like, you are so lucky to have me as a mom. And she goes, that's parenthood. That's what it is. It's some days you're crushing it and some days you're just struggling. You're like gasping for air, but it's, you know,
it's life.
It's life. It's exactly what it is.
It's just consistency.
And it's because you care.
Right.
If you didn't care, it wouldn't be this grueling.
Right.
Almost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think, you know, life in general is just showing up.
Yeah.
It's showing up and surrendering the idea of what you thought life is going to be to what life is in front of you in this moment.
Yeah.
Being present with it, finding the levity and the humor, and, you know, making peace with what is.
Yeah.
As opposed to trying to make it something it isn't, you know. And I admire that about you, your humility and how grounded you are and how far you've come. And I'm looking forward to seeing where you go next.
Same. I mean, Alina, I'm so happy to see you. I sent you a message.
Do you think we'll be on another float?
I hope so. I mean, I think we should plant the seed now.
Tell them, no, the 40-year-olds can't keep the arms up the same way as they could back then.
I don't be like, I'm tired. Happy New Year. I can touch you. You're so close. But I am really, I've been following you on social media. I think that you are just such an amazing person. I know that you've been going through a lot and you just handle it with such elegance and poise. You look beautiful. Your kids look great. Like everyone, you just look like you're in a good place now.
Thank you. I am. I'm very grateful. And So grateful to have had you today. This was such a fun conversation.
It was fun. I know. I had a really good time. I'm
too.
surprised
Let's do it
it's already
again.
done. Yeah.
I know.
Whenever.
All right, girl. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Breaking Through with Alina Obervian. For our community to grow, please like and share, and also leave a review on this episode. Of course, you can find me on social media and let me know what you'd like to talk about in future episodes. Nothing is off limits, so let's have some fun.